welcome to Learning Python, and in this episode we're going to learn how to make functions. Functions in Python are one of the most integral and important things to learn when learning the Python programming language. Let's get right into it. Let's go ahead and create a new file, and we'll call it functions.py. There we go. So first of all, let's ask the question here. What are functions? So functions are essentially blocks of code that you can write which only run when called, and you can reuse it. So let's type that in. Functions are blocks of code that can be reused and ran when called. So essentially what this means is that you can write a certain piece of code and you can call that code. So it's not ran right away. You can just call that code and let it run anywhere you want. And what's so useful about this is that you don't have to reuse blocks of code, copy and paste. Just put it all into a function, and you can just run that function whenever you want. So let's start creating a function. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to type in def. Def is short for define. That means we're going to define a function. So def, we'll just call it do underscore something, and then two parentheses, a colon on the outside, press enter. And whatever's inside this indent belongs to that function. So first of all, let's just make it do something. So print, and we'll just do doing something. There we go. And let's see what happens if we try to run this. You can see nothing happens. That's because you have to call this function. This isn't going to do anything. You need to call it, tell it, okay, time to start running. And to do that, you type in your function name, do something. And in this case, two parentheses. Sometimes in these parentheses, you may want to type in parameters, and we'll get into that later. So let's try running this, Control-S to save. And you can see that it works. Now let's move on to something a little bit more exciting. Let's do some parameters. The thing with functions is that they can take in parameters. So you can take in like A and B. So these are things that you can insert into the function, and it can use these parameters to do something. And in this case, we'll rename this thing to add. There we go, add. And now what we can do, we can print A plus B. And what this is going to do is we're going to give it two variables, and it's going to do something for us. It's going to print whatever the value of adding these two variables are. Let's try it out. And we'll call our function add, and A will be equal to, let's just say 10, comma, and then B will set that equal to 20. Let's see what happens. You can see 30. You can see we can pass in this parameters here, and we can change it to whatever we want. They can make this 1,000, and that should work perfectly fine. And the thing is here is that we can also return values. And if you don't know what that is, so you can see that we have the print right here. You can see it spits out a value right away. So let's say if I do something called return. So return won't print it right away. If I do return A plus B, and then I run add, I'll set A to 10 and B to 120. And you can see nothing happens yet. That's because this return, all it does is that it sort of stores this as a variable, and it's not really getting printed. So we can set this to like D is equal to, and then add, then you gotta do A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, whatever. And then finally that's gonna get stored, but not printed yet, so you gotta print D. And you can finally see that gets printed. And you can also do something like, you could wrap this around, you could wrap a print around this. And you can see it should work perfectly fine. So the thing with functions here is, let's say, want to create a function called def, like say hello, and let's do print hello. And let's say you're in a situation where you need to just do this a bunch. Now in this case, you have to print and then hello, and then print hello. Now it doesn't seem too cumbersome yet, but let's say eventually you're going to start making functions that maybe even like 20, 30, maybe even 100 lines of code, and you really don't want to copy and paste that everywhere. So you could just say hello here. You might need it like somewhere down here. And this is essentially why functions are so useful. It just saves so much time. It makes your code look cleaner and makes it run more efficiently. That's going to be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.